Here's what we're discussing today on Philadelphia Eagles Now. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, greatly appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day and our coverage a part of your NFC Championship game week. Some huge Eagles injury news heading into this matchup on Sunday against San Francisco. Nick Sirianni disrespected, not named a finalist for Coach of the Year. We'll also continue to preview this game against the Niners and touch on all of the latest Eagles news and rumors. Before we get started, though, make sure you subscribe. We are exactly 50 subscribers away from 40,000 subs. If you want content for free every single day on the Birds year-round, then lock us in and hit that subscribe button. And we have a pretty epic matchup to talk about on Sunday in the NFC Championship game. Pretty great matchup in between the two channels that I host here at Chat Sports, oddly enough. 49ers Report closing in on 77,000 subscribers. Bird Gang, you want to catch up to the Niner Gang? Subscribe now. A lot of work to do, but I'm never going to doubt my home city of Philadelphia. We begin with the latest Eagles injury news. Good news on this front. Talking about a team that's actually pretty healthy right now. Of course, there are going to be nicks and bruises up to this point in the season, but Philadelphia heading into the Final Four matchup, getting healthy, staying healthy. Of course, Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson a little bit sore, but they're going to be good to go for Sunday's tilt. Nick Sirianni saying everybody going to be out on the practice field here on Wednesday. He is hopeful that Avonte Maddox, one of the better slot cornerbacks in the NFL, will be able to play against San Francisco. He also said that A.J. Brown also going to be on the practice field. A.J. Brown did have some locker room availability and said, there's nothing to worry about with the big smile, with me going off on the sideline and me coming up lame on that long ball from Jalen Hurts. I'm fine. I'm good to go. I'm ready to rock in what will be a raucous Lincoln Financial Field. Pivoting back to Avante Maddox, if he's able to be back, this is a big deal for Philadelphia. The 49ers are stacked offensively, one of the best all-around offensive units that Philadelphia's defense has seen this year, might be the best all-around defense that Philadelphia has seen, as Jonathan Gannon even admitted he has his hands full with game preparation. And out of that slot spot specifically, which is where Avante Maddox plays, San Francisco can use a couple of options here. Brandon Ayuk, one of the cleaner route runners in the NFL. Hot take, I actually think he's better than C.D. Lamb. He's so good with his footwork up there with Stephon Diggs. Deebo Samuel, one of the best all-around weapons in the NFL. He can play that slot spot. So too can George Kittle, although oftentimes they'll flank him to the right of the right tackle or the left of the left tackle, like Dallas Goedert, a very good blocker in the pass and run game. But Christian McCaffrey, also a serious threat out of that slot. Like, he has Cooper Kupp type of footwork, and he really is magic with how he's able to stutter step, change direction, and get out of cuts really quickly for a running back. I kind of call him an all-around weapon, kind of like Deebo, not just a running back, because I think it's somewhat disrespectful to label him as just one. And once you get Avonte Maddox back, if that is against San Francisco or hopefully in the Super Bowl, if the Eagles do advance, Maddox being back just adds more diversity and depth to your defense because it bumps C.J. Gardner-Johnson back to safety, but he can also play in the slot, which is where he probably prefers because he's played more there and is more comfortable there given the track record in his NFL career. I actually don't hate Reed Blankenship. Marcus Epps has been pretty good this year. It just gives you more options, especially if San Francisco does decide to spread it out, but they'll bunch it together as well because they do have a downhill and physical offense. Avonte Maddox in 2022 prior to the injury was really good. This is a guy who can come up with tackles for loss. He can play around the line of scrimmage. He's pretty physical despite being somewhat short, 5'8", 5'9". Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 71.3. League average is 70. Run defense, sub 63. That's okay. Pass rush, solid because he can get sent home on some blitzes. Again, goes back to the disguises and the versatility that I was kind of alluding to. 77.6 there, and then coverage, 70.3. Has a couple of interceptions, has made a couple of big plays on the ball. He's a very good nickel and slot cornerback. And this 49ers offense is stacked. Brandon Ayuk, more than 1,000 receiving yards this year on 78 catches. I actually think he's the best pure wide receiver on that football team, better than Debo, who was an all-pro last year. Again, I kind of look at Debo as a Swiss Army knife and that game breaker who you can give a jet sweep to, a reverse to, a pitch. You go split back in the backfield with him. He can line out wide. He can line up inside. Again, from a game planning perspective, Jonathan Gannon has to think about all of these different formations because Kyle Shanahan is very creative in trying to draw up plays to open up some vacant space and attack the defense. And then you have to worry about George Kittle, who Avante Maddox could go up against as well. Brock Purdy is the guy who's going to be throwing them the football, and the rookie has really been a tremendous story across the NFL. Mr. Relevant, final pick in the NFL draft, Jimmy Garoppolo breaks his ankle. He comes in, and he's played really well. In 8 games, he has won all of his starts. He's completed 67% of his passes, nearly 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions. And I think that Shanahan has done a good job of putting him in a position to succeed where the reads are somewhat easy because of the aforementioned space that Kyle Shanahan's scheme is able to create. So these are all of the things that Philadelphia has to worry about here. And I know a lot of you want to rip me for hosting the 49ers Report. For me, it's a dream come true. I was growing up in Westchester. First thing I did when we moved into my new childhood home, I turned on the TV. I saw Comcast Sportsnet. It was Ron Burke, Leslie Goodell, Michael Barkan, Neil Hartman on set, and they were talking about Philadelphia sports. And I'm like, I want to cover the NFL. I want to cover the Eagles. I want to talk about the NFL. So to do it on 2 of the largest platforms on YouTube, one of the most watched and largest Niners YouTube channels, the same can be said for the Philadelphia Eagles, is a tremendous honor for me. And I know these 2 teams very well, so there's nobody better equipped here to give you the best preview and coverage all throughout the week. I've watched every single snap of both teams this year. A lot of work goes into that. So some of the tendencies that I'm talking about, these are things that I've learned throughout the NFL season, and I'm helping, hopefully, Philadelphia fans understand what San Francisco can do on the offensive and defensive side of the football. So with that, let me ask you this, because I think people should be worried, Eagles fans, about this Niners offense. They're good, they're diverse, they're versatile, they're deep, and they're really explosive. 12-game winning streak, they have averaged more than 30 points per game, right up there with Phillies. Are they legit type L? Are they frauds type F? Let us know once again down in the comment section. As for A.J. Brown, he said that he's good to go. Nick Sirianni said that he's good to go. And this year he's been a top 3, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. And he came up a little bit lame there on that long ball from Jalen Hurts, and that was a little bit troublesome because a soft tissue injury, obviously, at this point in the season, when the magnitude is high, is obviously a huge deal. But A.J. Brown said he's going to go, and I'm going to buy into that. We're talking about the closest thing to Terrell Owens that we've seen since Terrell Owens. Physical stature, physicality, running guys over, but also being elusive, dynamic with the ball in his hands in the open field. Also having that pull-away speed and jumping up for those 50-50 balls. A legendary season for him. What a trade it was for Howie Roseman. 88 catches this year for nearly 1,500 yards. And, of course, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, other great complementary pieces. Devontae Smith could be a number 1 for many organizations out there, and I think that Goedert is up there among the top tight ends in the league with Travis Kelce, with George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and Goddard. And this 49ers cornerback depth chart, it is one that is susceptible to giving up big plays. And Jimmy Ward is traditionally a safety. Because of injuries at cornerback for San Francisco, he's playing a lot more nickel. Charvarius Mooney-Ward has certainly been up and down. AFC title game last year, he got burnt multiple times by Jamar Chase. This year he's been pretty good. He's a good tackler in the open field, good against the ground game. He can be very good in the aerial attack, but sometimes, like what DK Metcalf did in the wild card round, he can get beat. If A.J. Brown is going up against Deommodore Lenoir, who has 2 interceptions in his last 2 games, A.J. Brown has the height advantage, and Devontae Smith has this speed advantage over everybody here. I'll say this about Jimmy Ward. He did stick with C.D. Lamb throughout that game against Dallas in the divisional round. These guys are really good, but I would give the edge to Philadelphia in the wide receiver department going up against the Niners corners. And what a battle this is going to be on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. I continue to say, this could be one of the best NFC Championship games of all time because there are multiple Pro Bowlers, All-Pros, and future Hall of Famers on both sidelines here. The coaching matchup is very good between Nick Sirianni and Kyle Shanahan. Both defensive coordinators, D'Amico Ryans and Jonathan Gannon, are in the running to get head coaching jobs during this head coaching carousel of a cycle here during the offseason. And both of these teams for a long time have been the top two teams in the NFC from a roster construction standpoint, but also your eye test tells you that, and the numbers indicate it. And the Eagles' strengths go up against the Niners' strengths, and the Niners' strengths pit up well against the Eagles' strengths. This could be one of the best NFC Championship games that we've ever seen, especially with the Eagles' potent offense going up against this legendary Niners defense. Eagles offense this year, they rank second in points per game, putting up nearly 29 points per on the scoreboard. Yards per game, third in the NFL, totaling nearly 391 yards. Points per play, third for Philly. Their third down conversion rate, number 3, which is big considering what we're about to show you with the Niners' third down defense. Fourth down conversion rate, Kyle Shanahan is not aggressive. Nick Sirianni is. Philadelphia checking in at number 4. They've converted on nearly 69% of their fourth down attempts. That's excellent. Red zone scoring touchdown percentage, third in the league. It means that every time they're in the red area inside the 20, they're scoring a touchdown nearly 70% of the time. And number 1 in touchdowns per game, number 10 in yards per rush. So you stack up Philadelphia's offense against this Niners defense, which this year, number 1 in points per game, number 1 in yards per game allowed, number 1 in points per play, number 4 in yards per play. Third down conversion rate, 16th. So Philadelphia, one of the best. 49ers, middle of the pack. Red zone scoring percentage. San Francisco, 20th. Philadelphia, very good in the red zone. Opposing touchdowns per game, number 3. For the Niners defense, Philadelphia atop the league. Yards per rush, number 2, 3.2. They've been excellent and stout against the ground game. Rushing yards per game, number 2 for San Francisco, all led by Nick Bosa's 18.5 sacks. He could be the defensive player of the year. And how about this on top of those Niners defensive rankings, just to give you some insight for Philadelphia? 49ers have allowed a score on less than 27% of drives this year. All drives, that is the lowest in the NFL since 2019. What a matchup. Once again, we're going to have in the NFC title game a heavyweight bout on Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. So with that, who you got? Predict the score. Birds, Niners. Who are you going with? Let us know down in the comment section. I think this could go either way. You can type F Chase, but I did pick San Francisco to win by 3. I am an NFL analyst at the end of the day. Yes, I grew up an Eagles fan, but I'm just calling it like it is because I've watched every single snap this year for both of these teams. Coming up next on the show, Nick Sirianni, disrespected, not named a finalist for NFL Coach of the Year. We're going to dive into that and all the latest Eagles news and rumors, but first, do want to welcome a brand new sponsor here on Philadelphia Eagles Now because today's show is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I use AG1 every day, and you can get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because given my work schedule at Chat Sports, combined with my daily training regimen, I'm on a mission to run every day for a year straight. I wanted sustained energy. I wanted to stay healthy. I needed to keep my immune system strong so that I could pump out daily content for the homies. And I want to strive toward my professional, work life, and personal fitness goals. I take AG1 every morning as part of my routine, and it really does set the table for the rest of my day. It's helped improve my gut health. It's boosted my energy. It supports my immune system. It helps me recover since I'm putting such a toll on my body. I really, in my life, try to steer clear of chemicals and harsh ingredients, especially after my mom passed away from cancer, which is also why I love AG1 and its 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1, as we showed you, with water, and I drink it first thing in the morning or before and after my workouts. I also love that something that's this good for you and prioritizing your health and wellness, one life, one body, costs less than $3 per day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D, which will keep you healthy as well. It's so important for you. The studies back that up, as well as 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So head to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check out the link in the comment section and the description of this video. So there was some confusion early this morning when Nick Sirianni originally was named a Coach of the Year finalist. It's actually not the case. Now, according to the NFL honors, these are the finalists. But the finalists, according to the AP, it's Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, it's Brian Daboll of the New York Giants, and it's Doug Peterson, Jaguars, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles. How is Nick Sirianni not a finalist for Coach of the Year? Now, I do have some thoughts about this because oftentimes when you're talking about Coach of the Year finalists, it doesn't always have to come down to which coach's team has the better record. For me, it's which coach does the most with less. And for me, that's Brian Daboll. Pretty much the same roster in New York this year as compared to last year. They've been a disastrous franchise for a really long time. They were awful under Joe Judge, and Brian Daboll had them win one game in the playoffs. They ended their postseason drought, and he maximized the roster. Daniel Jones, with no receivers, had a pretty solid season. So Brian Daboll on that front and Doug Peterson on the other front, because the Jags have been so bad for a long time, they go on this tear. They win in Week 18 against the Titans to get into the playoffs. They come back from that historic deficit against the Chargers in the wild card round, and they competed against the Kansas City Chiefs. So yes, while I think that Brian Daboll and Doug Peterson are the better votes for Coach of the Year, and then for Kyle Shanahan, 12 straight wins now with 3 different starting quarterbacks, but he has a stacked roster. Nick Sirianni not being a finalist is a joke. What are these people thinking? Philadelphia loves the underdog mentality, and I'm sure that Nick Sirianni is feeling that. He went 14-3 this year, franchise record for wins in a season for Philadelphia, locked down the number 1 seed in home field advantage because of that. They won the NFC Championship game. We showed you those Eagles offensive numbers earlier. They've been historic, and this Eagles defense has been one of the best statistical defenses in the history of this franchise as well, in a pass-happy, offensive-laden era in the NFL. You know that saying out there for the birds, hungry dogs run faster. Well, how about this? Hungry dogs maybe going to coach harder for Nick Sirianni. Going up against Kyle Shanahan, yes, the Eagles are favorites, -2.5, but Philadelphia feeling a little bit slighted, and Nick Sirianni not the only one who's getting slighted. Stay tuned for who else did. Was Nick Sirianni snubbed for Coach of the Year? Let us know down in the comments section. Y for yes, H for hell yes. There isn't another option here, then yes. So share your thoughts down below. As for Jalen Hurts, named a finalist for NFL Offensive Player of the Year, and on top of that, named a finalist for NFL MVP, alongside Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Jefferson, and Joe Burrow. I don't think Hurts is going to win it, but you can make the argument that no player was more important to their team than Hurts, as evidenced by the 2 games that he missed for Philadelphia, and how their offense flatlined and fell on its face, and they just weren't the same. And for Hurts, in his press conference today, he really did say, I can't believe this is real. This is pretty wild. It's unbelievable for me to be in this spot. He shared those emotions before really just keeping it flatline like he always does. But for Hurts, he's probably a little bit surprised by himself because of the growth that he's seen taking place, but he knows it's all a byproduct of the work that he's put in. I mean, the jump that he's been able to make from his rookie year to this year, this is one of my favorite graphics here on the show, because it goes to show you the coaching that we've seen take place, but also just the body of work and the work that Jalen Hurts has been able to put in, because this requires going into the lab. This requires a self-assessment and you being honest with yourself with how you have to improve as an NFL quarterback, and Hurts has been able to do that. Year 1, I understand he had a lot of throwaways. That offensive line was banged up. Final year under Doug Peterson, the roster wasn't that good, but he still completed 52% of his passes, 230 yards, and a passer rating of 77.2. Last year, completion percentage goes up by 10 points. That's great. Yards per game went down because Philadelphia was more of a running team. Passer rating did go up by 10 points as well. And then this year, for a while before the injury, he was averaging nearly 68% on his attempts throwing the football. Completion percentage was awesome. Yards per game, great. Obviously, what he does on the ground game, fantastic. And his passer rating, 77.2 as a rookie, 101.5 in year 3. Jalen Hurts, he's Timothy. He's going to have a big game against this stout Niners defense. Another person who was snubbed on this Eagles team and within this franchise, it's Brandon Graham. These are the finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Geno Smith. I see why all of them are on this graphic here. Saquon, a couple of injury-plagued seasons with the knee injuries. Christian McCaffrey was a two-time All-Pro, then played in 16 combined games in 2020 and 2021 before totaling nearly 2,000 all-purpose yards this year. And Geno Smith, somebody would have left him at the bus stop 12 months ago. Ended up having a really good year. But how is Brandon Graham not on this list? Guy's 34 years old. He's coming off an Achilles tear. He's been in the league for a minute, and he had the best pass rushing season of his career. A career-high 11 sacks for BG in this scheme, 11 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles for this Eagles legend who has the most iconic play in the history of this franchise with that sack of Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52. And on top of the numbers that we're showing you here, how about what he's been able to do according to the analytics? Pro Football Focus watches every single snap. Overall grade for him, almost 90. It's right up there with Nick Bosa. Pro Football Focus pass rush grade, 89. Pro Football Focus run defense grade, as he's always been good against the run, nearly 72. 44 quarterback pressures, 32 quarterback hurries. I understand that Brandon Graham is a defensive player. He's probably the less sexy option as compared to the 3 offensive guys who were on that graphic. He deserves to be in that equation. That's why I wanted my feelings to be known back a month or two ago when I was talking about this, making this point that BG deserves to be in the consideration for Comeback Player of the Year. So because he's an Eagles legend and because he got disrespected, let's show him some love. I did love what Nick Sirianni said, by the way. These awards are great and all. We're chasing something bigger than this. We're chasing a Super Bowl championship, trying to put another Lombardi on the shelf in South Philly, as it's going to be South Philly, Broad Street against Silicon Valley in San Francisco. Type BG to show 55 love. And before we hop on out of here, feel free to interact with me all throughout the week and all the time on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. As I said, I cover both the Eagles and the 49ers. What a professional week it's been for me with so much content. We're working our asses off here. Me and Trizzy Trace are in the lab. Turn on your notice to show some love. Therefore, anytime we do go live or push out a show, you'll be notified. And subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 40,000 subs with this show.